What is up, my friends, and welcome to another edition of AEW Week in Review. I am your host, Mark Perry, editor of Pro Wrestling News Hub, covering pro wrestling and not sports entertainment. On this week's show, Nick Jackson, Chris Jericho, they get the vid, some AEW console game news. We give you an update on that, plus recaps of Dynamite, Dark, and the latest TV ratings. Plus, of course, now every week we're talking fantasy AEW wrestling, as well as my picks for the AEW Awards. We'll go through those as well, and a special unboxing from Mr. Fourth Row. But first, how do you get in touch with the show? Email podcast@prowrestlingnewshub.com with your MP3s or call 888-430-7692. Extension 3. Cutoff time is 6 p.m. Eastern on Thursdays. And remember to leave us a review on Apple Podcasts. We really appreciate that. Read it on the show. Plus, like and subscribe to our YouTube channel. We are building that up. We really appreciate that as well. So give us a like and subscribe there. Now, before we get into the show, as you guys know, and especially if you follow me on Twitter, or if you follow Pro Wrestling News Hub on Twitter, I go to any kind of Walmart I can find, and I can never find AEW figures, ever. I post constantly. All I see is the belts. I've recently seen some rings, but other than that, I've never seen anything. So our pal, Mr. Fourth Row, sent me something in the mail, and we're going to open it right now. So here's the box. It's from a Christian bookstore, which I like that a lot. And let's see what he's got. He said he got something for me. I really appreciate Mr. Fourth Row, a loyal caller, a pal to the show. And hopefully once all this garbage leaves us and I get to go out and hang out with some of my wrestling pals, I definitely get to meet Mr. Fourth Row. Now, hopefully it's not a bomb in here to blow me up because, I might have said something, Ricine, said some name wrong, or I talked trash about Abaddon, and then all of a sudden he's all mad at me, so he's going to blow me up. So you'll witness it first, live on the air. And, we got a figure. Who is it? I'm opening it up now. You'll see it first. Oh, yes! Mr. Fourth Row is the man. He got my favorite wrestler, Rey Fénix. Oh, this is awesome, dude. Oh, man. Mr. Fourth Row, thank you so much. This is amazing. This is so awesome. This is, yes. This is the one I wanted the most, was a Rey Fénix action figure. So, Mr. Fourth Row, thank you. Thank you so much. You made my week. Absolutely made my week. It's cool. So, here's the Rey Fénix. If you're on YouTube. And then on the back, it's got the Series 2 Unrivaled Collection. So you got Mox, Hangman Page, MJF, Phoenix, Pentagon, and Dustin Rhodes. And I'm super excited. So you can see on the back there. This will definitely go up on my shelf with my pride, with my XFL football and my little bit of the bubbly. So this is awesome. Very cool. So Mr. Fourth Row, thank you so much for thinking of me. He said he was in a Walmart and saw something he thought I might like, because I have tried everywhere to see if I could find any of these figures, and I couldn't. And so again, thank you. I got a big smirk on my face. This is awesome. You definitely made my day. See, there's good people out there, my friends. There's good people out there, and it wasn't a bomb. And so Ryzen, I said the name right. I didn't talk too much trash about Abaddon, so I think we're good. So thank you again, Mr. Fourth Row. That is super awesome. And I'm going to have a big smirk on my face for the rest of the day. That's very, very cool. I am humbled. I am humbled. So we do have Mr. Fourth Row checking in twice. I missed last week's show. Clearly there was a lot going on in the country, and I got caught up in it. And then I was going to try to get to it. And then I think the ratings might have been delayed or something. And then I was going to do it. And then it just kind of fell apart. And I was like, all right, we'll come back at it. We'll go back this week on point, ready to rock and roll. A question for next week's show I want to get to, and I was thinking about this, and I'll talk about this a little bit in the show, is if you were to create a AEW women's faction, just like some of these others that, the Inner Circle and Team Taz and DX and NWO and the Four Horsemen, who would you use in AEW? Because there's a decent bunch of good AEW women wrestlers, but I'm not really sure if any of them is a really awesome on the mic per se just yet. And so to have them in a faction together would be really interesting. And I would love to see a women's faction beat on dudes in AEW. I think that would be really cool and unique. Forget about trying to do another Bullet Club. Do something with some of the female wrestlers in AEW. And I think that would be totally unique. So that's the question for next week's show. Also, before we get started, let's take a look at our AEW Fantasy Wrestling site. And we go over some of the top wrestlers of the week. So if you had these guys in your lineup, you would have gotten some good points. And the top wrestler of the week was Serena Dean. So not only did she have her match against Tay Kante, which was a great match, we'll get into that later, but she also, I believe, appeared on Dark and got a win also. So between those two, that's the thing. You think, oh, I'm just going to have Jon Moxley, I'm going to win every week. No, it's these people that are appearing on TV and get some wins. Some other people, Cash Wheeler and Dax Hardwood, they both got wins in a tag match this week. Darby Allin won, and of course Kenny Omega won. Kenny Omega did. Oh, and he wrestled this week as well, and he got the win, so he got 10 points as well. So it's pretty cool to check out fantasy wrestling, AEW Fantasy Wrestling. If you're interested, fantasy.prowrestlingnewshub.com. Join. We're actually tonight going to do our first draft of this. I call it alpha testing, but it's really, I think the site is, I could probably, if we can get past this draft part, that's the kind of key, is to see how things go, is the drafting. If we can get the drafting working right, I think then we're good to go, and we got a good system. But I think we're definitely probably out of the alpha phase and into the beta phase. You can sign up. It sends emails. You can drop people to make trades, cleaning that kind of stuff up. So I'm excited to do that tonight. I'm also excited to bring you the latest AEW news. So without further ado, folks, let's just get into the week that was AEW. All right, let's get to our AEW Dynamite results for January 13th, 2021. First up, Pac versus Eddie Kingston to start off the night. Winner, Pac. I gave this a 3.75. This was a good match, mostly Pac. We understand Eddie Kingston's style. He's not a high flyer or anything like that. Sells his injury well. It was good to see Pac out there. But, this was just an good run-of-the-mill AEW match, so we gave it a 3.75. Next up, we got Chuck Taylor versus Miro, and Miro just dominated him the whole match. This was a decent match. Miro with the win. I gave this a 3.50 just because it wasn't a lot of action, just as much as just Miro just dominating Chuck Taylor, and now he's little Chuck Taylor's Cabana Boy or whatever the heck it is. But it was an okay match, to be expected. We have a check-in with Private Party and Matt Hardy. We'll see where it's going on with that angle. Then we get checked in with the Inner Circle and their New Year's resolutions. And we're going to set up a nice little tag team match next week with Jake Hager and Sammy Guevara, and teaming up with Jericho and MJF, and then Santana and Ortiz. That was a kind of nice little twist. That should be the match of the night next week. The Dark Order checks in, begging Adam Hangman Page to join them. He'll be in a match next week with the Dark Order. It was a lot of fun. That was a great segment. And, because that was a real question fans had. What's going on with the Dark Order? We'll see. And as this match begins, we'll find out what's going on. And then the Hangman Page said he would tell them what he's going to do after the match. Then we get the big swerve of the night. It was going to be Kenny Omega and the Young Bucks versus Griff Garrison, Brian Pillman, and Danny Limelight. Congrats to Danny Limelight. He looked great in this match as well, getting the shot after some really good matches on Dynamite. However, instead, the Good Brothers came out, and winner Kenny Omega and the Good Brothers. That was very surprising. Gave this one a 3.75. Kenny Omega was good. Danny Limelight was good. This was a good match. A little twist there. We thought maybe the Young Bucks, and that was a quick kind of turnaround. They turned their back on the Young Bucks. So we'll see where that goes with that. Then Moxley came out and all heck broke loose. Big old brawl started. So this is going to set up a bunch of angles because my man Lucha Bros came out and then a bunch of other people came out. And so we'll see where this leads to. But it was definitely setting up some kind of long-term storytelling, which was cool. Then we got Dr. Britt Baker, her guest Cody Rhodes. He basically said nothing. Then Jade Cargill comes out. We haven't seen her in a while. She talks some trash. And then Red Velvet comes out. So it's setting something up. Finally, we get to see Jade Cargill in action, hopefully against Red Velvet soon. And then they also teased that on the big winter-summer event, whatever, Bash at the Beach type deal, that Britt Baker will take on Thunder Rosa then. So that should be a good match as well. Tag teams, Jurassic Express, Jungle Boy, and not Luchasaurus, but Marco Stunt versus FTR, Cash Wheeler, and Dax Harwood. Winner FTR, I gave this a 4.0. This was my elite match of the night. Jungle Boy was great. FTR was great. Marco Stunt was awesome. And this was a fantastic match. I really enjoyed this one. I wasn't sure if I would or not. But again, everything about this put together. FTR has been really impressing me. They're not like super exciting per se to watch, but they're great workers with other people and really bring those other people out. And that's why I think they're an asset. I am definitely turning the page. I don't know if I would pay to see FTR up against somebody else, but I wouldn't pay to see FTR versus, the Varsity Blondes, for example. They're just not ready yet. That was a good match, definitely elite match of the night. Then we get Serena Dean versus Tay Kante. And this was a good match. I mean, Serena Dean, she needs somebody. She can wrestle. There's no question about that. And she's in the ring general. She is one of the best, if not the best, in AEW. But she just needs a mouthpiece. The lead up to this wasn't that great. Tay Kante, I was worried about her, but she definitely delivered. Now she elevated her. She should be in the top 5 on the women's list from here on out because they both put on a great show. I gave Serena Deeb with the win. I gave this a 3.5. This is probably one of my better ratings for women's matches in a while. And I was like, this is a 3.25. But no, I didn't really turn away. And I think Tay Kante impressed me a lot. I think she's come a long way. And we'll see where her character goes. But she is definitely, I would put her in the top 5 female wrestlers, along with Serena Deeb, Britt Baker, Hikaru Shida. I'm not really sure about Abaddon. I mean, Nyla Rose, isn't it? But I'm not really sure about Nyla Rose, to be honest with you. This was a good women's match. And that sets up our finale. The TNT Championship match, Darby Allin versus Brian Cage, with Brian Cage just beating down Darby Allin. I gave this one winner. Sting came out at the end, but winner Darby Allin. I gave this one also a 4. I thought Brian Cage really impressed me in this match, and I liked how the storytelling in it, which was just him dominating, but Darby Allin doesn't quit, and in the end gets the win. The person that impressed me the most, I mean, we know Darby Allin can take a bump with the best of them, and he certainly did. But it was really just watching Brian Cage in action. Basically, this match definitely, even though he lost, it highlighted him. We get Sting, of course, coming out. And with the save, winner Darby Allin, I gave this a 4.0. So this was not the Brody Lee tribute show, which was off the charts. But this was a good show, setting up things to come next week and forward to the month of February and March. Next week's card for AEW Dynamite should be an interesting show. I think the main event is going to be the Inner Circle Tag Team match. Santana and Ortiz and MJ versus MJF and Chris Jericho versus Sammy Guevara and Jake Hager. Sammy Hager. Yeah, that was a pretty funny little bit. We get Jon Moxley versus somebody to be determined. I wouldn't be surprised if it's Danny Limelight, just because he's had a couple good showings. And usually they do this and kind of give it to one of the guys that have been doing well in dark. I wonder if Danny Limelight gets the nod against Jon Moxley. We get Nyla Rose versus Leila Hirsch. And on the Reddit, somebody had posted about Leila Hirsch versus Alex Reynolds. If you want to see a good guy versus girl match, this one really impressed me with Leila Hirsch. It's an old match in the indie days. I forget what the indie promotion is, but look up Leila Hirsch versus Alex Reynolds, and it really not only put Alex Reynolds over for me, but really put Leila Hirsch for me. And I think she's one of the top 5 female wrestlers. She just needs to be paired with somebody, I think, to be that mouthpiece as well, and I think she would do good. I've always thought, and I've said this before, a women's faction would be very interesting. We've never really seen that before. We've got NWO, we've got other, the Dark Order and Inner Circle and DX, but never like a really good women's faction. I think AEW should do something like that, and I think Leila Hirsch and Serena Dean could be players in that faction. Tag team match, Hangman Adam Page and the Dark Order, Colt Cabana, John Silver, Alex Reynolds versus the Hybrid 2, Angelico and Jack Evans, and the Chaos Project, Luther and Serpentico. I might have picked somebody else, but okay, we'll take them. We got Miro with his new butler, Chuck Taylor. That should be a fun little segment. And then another tag match, Matt Sydal and Top Flight, Darius Martin and Dante Martin versus Matt Hardy and Private Party, Isaiah Cassidy and Mark Quinn. I'm not really down with the whole Matt Hardy Private Party matchup connection just yet. I think, sticking Matt Sydal with Top Flight, that should be real interesting. I wonder if that's the match that kicks off the show. And that's the card for next week's Dynamite. All right, let's quickly go through our AEW Dark results for January 12th. First up, Ricky Starks defeated Mike Verna. Jurassic Express, Jungle Boy and Luchasaurus defeated my man Fuego del Sol and Ryzen. Said that right, I think, this time. Tay Kante defeated Marty Daniels. The Dark Order, Evil Uno, Stu Grayson, Alan Angels, Preston Vance, and Colt Cabana defeated Adam Priest, Danny Limelight, Sean Dean, Very Morales, and Zach Clayton. Will Hobbs defeated Louis Val. Red Velvet defeated Leva Bates. Dark Order, of course, Alex Reynolds and John Silver defeated El Australiano and Casey Navarro. Varsity Blondes, Brian Pillman and Griff Garrison defeated Aaron Solo and Lee Johnson. Anna Jay defeated Alex Gracia. Serena Dean defeated Tesha Price. And Bear Country, Bear Boulder and Bear Bronson defeated Baron Black and Nick Camaranto. And then finally, Top Flight, Darius Martin and Dante Martin defeated Chaos Project, Luther, and Sir Pentico. And that wraps this week's AEW Dark. Ratings are in for AEW Dynamite for January 13th, 2021, and according to a report by Showbuzz Daily, AEW finished 31st overall for the night. This is low for the second week in a row, and we all know why. The WWE Hall of Fame person got impeached for a second time, and that basically drew all the viewers, and we'll get into that in a second. Dynamite drew 762,000 viewers, up from last week's 662,000 viewers, which means things are starting to rebound. They finished 48th overall last week. Dynamite was taped this week at Daly's Place in Jacksonville, Florida. The show was the special New Year's Smash Night 2. Featured Darby Allin versus Brian Cage for the TNT Championship. NXT drew 551,000 viewers, down from last week's 641,000 viewers because there was no main roster person on there. Finished 70th overall. Last week they finished 68th. The show featured matches for the Dusty Rhodes Tag Team Classic. Total combined wrestling audiences for both shows was slightly up. 1.313 million viewers. It was 1.303 million total viewers last week, so really not that much of a climb. Why? Because based on the ratings, CNN took 13 of the top 15 spots, with MSNBC taking 13 and 14. By the way, Fox News' top show came in at 22. Again, we've talked about this before. Huge reversal from October. The top-rated non-news shows was ESPN's NBA game at 8 p.m. They came in at 16th. MTV's Challenge Double Agent came in at 18, and ESPN's NBA game at 10 p.m. came in at 21. The NHL has returned, and their games took the number 23 spot and 27 spot, and then Real Housewives of the OC came in at 29th, and then AEW. So probably on a normal night, AEW would have finished in the top 15. Competition now, NBA games, MTV, and now the NHL will definitely take away from some of AEW's audience. So it'll be real interesting to see, probably outside of January, because January 20th we have an inauguration. That's basically going to be covered everywhere. That's going to take a lot of the juice out. So going forward, so really we'll start talking February, we should see numbers bounce back. But the problem is you have NHL and NBA games going on at the same time. So it will be real interesting to see as we move forward in 2021. All Elite Wrestling Executive Vice President Nick Jackson of the Young Bucks, who is also one half of the Tag Team Champions, recently took to Twitter and revealed that he had a pretty bad case of you-know-what in early September that kept him bedridden for nearly 3 weeks. Jackson also revealed that he couldn't taste or smell for 2.5 months, and that at one point his whole body had hives on it, and his doctor said it was definitely from you-know-what. Nick Jackson then revealed that his brother Matt had to do the majority of the work in their matches once he returned safely because he couldn't catch his breath, and also revealing that his cardio is finally back, but it took months to finally feel like himself again, which is why let's protect each other, wear a mask. He also noted that it's crazy to think that there are still you-know-what deniers out there in the world, and this is from a Nick Jackson Instagram post. During the last episode of Talk is Jericho, Chris Jericho spoke to Dr. Alex Patel, an ICU doctor based out of Toronto, about the you-know-what pandemic. Surprisingly, Jericho revealed that he had an episode that he tested positive for you-know-what back in September. Also, same time Nick Jackson, but experienced no symptoms associated with the virus. Quote, I tested positive maybe back in September. I had 0 symptoms. I had my 10 days in isolation and stayed away from everybody. I didn't have a symptom. I didn't even know I had. I went and got tests in general, and they said I was positive. I was like, really? Are you serious? Close quote. Jericho went on to discuss how he thought it might have been a false positive initially, but said that whenever he takes a test now before shows, the results always shows that he has the antibodies. I just want to note, so this also at the same time Lance Archer and Nick Jackson had both tested positive around the same time. One thing to note that our own Joe Turner also mentioned was that at one point during the interview, Jericho also said that he lost his taste and smell. So clearly he did have symptoms. If he lost his sense of taste, for a company with such transparency, it comes a bit of a surprise that Jericho's result was kept secret. However, Jericho did come into fire in August for performing multiple concerts with Fozzy, including one at the Angel Sturgis motorcycle rally in South Dakota, which was a super spreader event from what I hear. In the weeks following, cases saw a significant increase, with around 200,000 being attributed to the event. The show was notorious lax for its you-know-what protocols. So Chris Jericho got it, and so did a bunch of other AEW wrestlers in September. AEW console games will feature several modes except for GM mode. Sorry, nerds. A huge announcement was made back in November that All Elite Wrestling partnered with Uke, and we all know about everything going on, the No Mercy video game. Well, during a recent they want to make it like WWE's No Mercy, but during a recent interview with IGN Japan, Kenny Omega revealed even more details about the upcoming console video game. And according to Omega, AEW's console game will feature campaign, multiplayer, create a wrestler, and various other unusual modes, but it won't include a GM mode. Instead, the mode will remain unique to the mobile game called AEW Elite GM. Makes sense? He also revealed that he joined AEW on the condition that he would be a part of the company's gaming division, and the AEW World Champion even talked about the game's retro influence. Chris Statlander reveals an update on her torn ACL. Back in June, She tore her ACL and was out for a long time, according to reports. Statlander's surgery to repair her damage was ACL was successful. I'm not sure when she's going to get back in the ring. She spoke with the people at Pro Wrestling Junkies and provided an update. Quote, "It's going. It's a very serious injury. I would say my knee is close to being healed, but it's such an extensive and long recovery process to make sure I am ready to go. Sometimes it takes people up to a year to get back, but it's coming along for sure. I'm definitely pushing way harder than I need to be, but I do it because I know I'm going to come back stronger in the end." AEW star Trent won't need to get surgery after suffering a recent injury. So Trent was sidelined. We know that. His last fight took place almost a month ago on December 12th edition of AEW Dynamite as part of that 12-man match. On Christmas Eve, Trent took to Twitter and announced to fans that he had partially torn pectoral muscle and able to compete for months. Dave Metzler, in the latest edition of the Wrestling Observer newsletter, gave an update on the extent and how long. He said, quote, "Trent will be out of action 4 to 5 months with a partially torn pec muscle. He is not going to need surgery," close quote. So that is good for Trent. Now, we'll see what's going on now with Chuck Taylor and his feud with Miro and that whole thing taking place at Beach Break in February. Will we get Trent back then? Probably not, but we could see Trent back over the summer. Congratulations are in order for Matt Hardy and Reba Hardy for adding a new member to their family. It was announced that they are expecting a 4th child together. And this time it will be a girl. So Reba and Matt welcomed their first son, Maxwell, in June of 2015, their second son, Wolfgang Xander, in June of 2017, and their third son, Bartholomew Kit, in December of 2019. So congratulations. The Hardy clan has now a girl. And we congratulations to them. Did you know you can get all the latest AEW news right from your phone? That's right, we're excited to announce the Pro Wrestling News Hub app. That's right, and it's free. You can get it for your iPhone. You can get it for your Google Android phone. And they're both free. You get all our breaking AEW news, information from Pro Wrestling News Hub right from your phone. You can just visit the Apple Store or the Google Play Store. What do you get? You get the latest news from Pro Wrestling News Hub. You get push notifications when a new post or story comes out. You get our podcast on the phone. You can leave us a review on iTunes, links to our social media, and so much more. All you have to do is, if you have an iPhone, go to the iTunes store and just look up Pro Wrestling News Hub and download it. Just type in AEW News. You can get our phone app, and guess it is free, my friends. It's free. So head over. You get all the latest news right from your phone, from your friends from Pro Wrestling News Hub, whether you have an iPhone or an Android. And it's best of all, it's free. AEW announced the AEW Dynamite Awards for January 27th. So TNT will produce the first annual AEW Dynamite Awards, distributed exclusively on Bleacher Report. The new award show celebrates AEW stars and top moments on January 27th via a live stream on the Bleacher Report app. Voting opens now, and you can go to www.aewawards.com. And in the press release, it says TNT and Bleacher Report announced today the first annual AEW Dynamite Awards, a new award show honoring the top AEW stars and viral moments of the past year. Of course, it will be streamed Wednesday at 7 p.m. Eastern on the 27th, exclusively on the Bleacher Report app. There's the rub. Download the app. And has a bunch of big surprises, blah, blah, blah. So we thought it would be fun to, first of all, you got to download the Bleacher Report app. And it will be streamed. You can be able to watch it afterwards, I believe. But we'll have more details coming soon. But let's go to the site now. So here is the Bleacher Report. And we'll vote. And you can see who we voted for. So I'm going to click. Let's say voting is open for the Dynamite Awards Wednesday, January 27th, before AEW Dynamite. The first ever Dynamite Awards will take place. You, the fans, get to choose your favorite wrestlers and moments from the past year. Stream the show for free on January 27th on Bleacher Report. Now, does that mean it will be on Bleacher Report Live? Or what does exactly that mean? I'm a little confused, but all right, we'll click on voting. So category, best moment on the mic. And you've got MJF campaign speech, Cody Rhodes accepts Mr. Brody Lee's dog collar match, Moxley accepts the Inner Circle invitation from Jericho, Brandy Rhodes confronts Jade Cargill, or Orange Cassidy debates Chris Jericho. I'm going to have to say, MJF's speech was good. Orange Cassidy debates Chris Jericho probably was I'm going to go with that one. Category, biggest surprise. You got Matt Hardy's debut. Jake the Snake Roberts confronts Cody Rhodes. Brody Lee arrives as the Exalted One. Sting's debut. Miro arrives. Yikes. Sting's debut was the shocking one, too. And Brody Lee as well. I would give that a close number 2, but Sting's debut was really the biggest one there. Biggest beatdown. Inner Circle jumps Orange Cassidy. The Dark Order attacks the Nightmare Family. Nyla Rose puts Riho and Shida through tables. Brian Cage sneak attack on Jon Moxley, Nightmare Family, and Inner Circle brawl. I'm going to have to go the Dark Order attacks the Nightmare Family. I mean, they beat them down pretty good. I'm going to have to give it that one. High Flyer, Ray Phoenix, Mark Quinn, Nick Jackson, Pac. Nick Jackson is really good, but my boy Ray Phoenix all the way. Hardest moment to clean up after. Orange Cassidy drops orange juice on the Inner Circle. The parking lot brawl, the bunkhouse match. Big Swole dumps garbage on Britt Baker. Definitely the parking lot brawl. That was a classic. Biggest WTF moment. Cody Rhodes moonsault off the steel cage. Sammy Guevara hit by a golf cart. The Young Bucks frog splash off the stadium railing. MJF lashes Cody Rhodes. Bloody Dr. Britt Baker or Omega wins the world champion, walks out of AEW. Now, I would go with the bloody Britt Baker, but Kenny Omega wins the AEW championship and walks out of AEW. I don't have to vote for that one. LOL Award. Chris Jericho and MJF led Dinner Debonair. Dr. Britt Baker waxes Tony Schiavone. Young Bucks super kick MJF into the cruise ship pool. That was all right. Inner Circle Las Vegas trip. You got to go with MJF and Chris Jericho on that one. Best Twitter follow. MJF, Orange Cassidy, Dr. Britt Baker, Nyla Rose. Oh, you have to go MJF on that one. Breakout male star. Cassidy, Darby Allin, Eddie Kingston, John Silver. Whew. That's a tough one. I might have to go with John Silver on that one. Breakout male star. Orange Cassidy, though, year that he had, I'm going to have to go with Orange Cassidy on that one. That's a tough one. Breakout female star, Anna Jay, Tay Kante, Big Swole, Penelope Ford, Hikaru Shida. I have to go with Hikaru Shida just because she carried the division the whole year. Bleacher Report pay-per-view moment of the year. The Stadium Stampede, Mox winning the championship, Shida winning the championship, Kenny and Hangman Page defeating the Young Bucks, Darby Allin beats Cody Rhodes for the TNT title, Bucks win the AEW tag title. The Stadium Stampede was crazy. All right, and that's it. Please, then, after all that voting, it says please enter your email to submit your vote and be sure to tune in, blah, blah, blah. So we'll do info at ProWrestlingNewsHub.com. We'll do podcast. I bet that. Podcast at ProWrestlingNewsHub.com and submit. And there you got it. I'm doing my American duty today as voting. This is not a fraud. This is real. And there you go. So that's my picks. I'm curious what your picks are. Leave them in the comments or send us a message, podcast at ProWrestlingNewsHub.com, and let us know your picks. All right, let's take a minute at our social stuff. Yusef Adam talking about the ratings this week. He says, thank you so much. Well, thank you for participating and hanging out with us. He likes the rating stuff. On the Facebooks, talking about Matt Hardy and Reba Hardy. I keep wanting to say Rebel, but that's somebody totally different. Jack says, now he literally be Broken Matt. Yeah, I mean, with 4 kids, he is gonna. That's some. I know all about that kind of stuff. I hear you there. On the Twitters about AEW reporting leaving Jacksonville for Miami, Scott D said he thinks it's going to be at the James L. Knight Center, and he gave us a link to that. That was pretty cool. I'm not. That could be, but what's interesting, we're getting an AEW show on the 20th live. So that means then you're going to get, if you get one on the 20th, then you'll get another one on the 27th. Does that mean that they go to, maybe that's what they'll announce next week, is that in February, maybe they'll be at the James L. Knight Center. So that's some interesting stuff there. So I appreciate that, the heads up. About the ratings this week, AEW fan page 01 says on the Twitter, says any major news on the channels affects AEW more heavily than NXT, particularly in that 18 to 34 demo. Yes, totally agree with that. Totally impacted by the news cycle. It just sucks the life out of everything. I mean, even NBA and NHL ratings were affected. And we got about another week of this stuff, and then hopefully things will start to pick up. AEW SUPA says, hi, Cody. Nice interview with Talk is Jericho. The Australian TV deal you spoke of is intriguing. I've watched every Dynamite on Fight TV in Australia. Can you give us any clues on who the deal is with? I don't know. I haven't heard anything about Australia deals yet. If you listen to Tony Schiavone on the post show, he's always getting asked about India. When are you coming to India? So there's a lot of fans out there that want to know. And this is just going to be huge for AEW once they start getting out. I'm not really sure. What are you waiting for? Sign a deal, get it going. Maybe they're looking for the right money. Who knows what. On what can AEW can learn from TNA's downfall. And that comes from our own Matthew Grover. Wrote a nice piece about what AEW can learn from TNA's downfall, if you want to check that out. AEW fan page 01 says, don't hire Russo. Don't hire anyone without the network's knowledge. Don't hire too much ex-WWE/WCW guys, and don't build your company just them, especially if they're in their 40s and 50s. Focus more on wrestling instead of talking segments. That is all true with that one. Frankie 32110 we're talking about, we asked another great episode from AEW Dynamite. What was the top moment? He said Darby fighting back to win. Really like the Sammy Hagar reference. We like that too. And then there's people out there, which is good. There's people out there that don't know that reference, but that's a good thing because that means younger generation wrestling fans will be into it as well. Because that means the younger fans are watching it, which is what we want. Reaction to the show. AEW fan page 01 says, Pac versus Kingston was great. Chucky looked like a geek when he lost to Miro. Yeah, he totally got blown up. Hardy in the Inner Circle was good. Yeah, I'm Hardy. I'm like, the Elite segment was good. The only thing that pissed me off was the Good Brothers getting inside the ring without any tags. It was irritating that I absolutely hated. I think I did notice that too. Where I was like, I don't think you tagged anybody yet. So, yeah. All right, so what we're going to do is we're going to go Mr. Fourth Row, then we're going to go to Salty Sea Dog because he sent me 2 things, then back to Mr. Fourth Row. Actually, let's do Salty Sea Dog first, and then we'll get to Mr. Fourth Row, and then, because both of them sent me stuff for the show, and let's get to that social media first. First up, Salty Sea Dog talking about, first off, our thoughts and prayers are with John Huber's family. The tribute episode AEW Dynamite did for his on-screen character Brody Lee was tremendous. Totally agree with that. It was great how AEW allowed -1 of the Dark Order, Brody Lee Jr., to have some fun in AEW with feuding with Marco Stunt and cutting a promo on Luther on Dark. To answer your question about my breakout stars for 2021, will be Bear Country getting wins in AEW. John Silver being a staple on pay-per-views, and Britt Baker winning the AEW Women's Championship. We need to put this in the archive and see if we're right later. It looked like Fuego del Sol was going to get the win on Dark, but Danny Limelight was victorious. Yeah, I was surprised by that one too. I thought maybe Fuego would get his first win, but Danny Limelight looked great this week. The Phoenix versus Kennedy match for the AEW Championship was amazing and could be a contender for Match of the Year. Totally agree with that. And of course, Phoenix is my man, and there's no question about it. As I hold up on the show, Phoenix is the man. That's my favorite wrestler right there. That was a fantastic match. They are awesome athletes, and they really put their bodies on the line. I love the fact that Kenny is still a machine with clean wins, even though he is a heel. What can you say about the ending of Dynamite? The Good Brothers invading Dynamite to help Omega beat down Moxley was awesome. Then to top it off with the Young Bucks joining Omega and the Good Brothers for a Too Sweet was as good as it gets. The Elite will be in action next week with the picture of the former Bullet Club members with their belts. We all know what happened with that. We'll get into that later. AEW right now is what pro wrestling should be. I totally agree with that. Also very excited about fantasy, but I want John Silver back, Mr. Mark. I do not approve that trade, even though it happened before I took the team. Yes. So I created a beta test league, and then I made trades so I wanted to see what the trading worked. And one of the guys I wanted was John Silver. So then some of the guys had said, hey, can we take over these dev teams? So I said, sure, get these guys. And it really helped me a ton, having them use the system and seeing bugs and everything. But he wants John Silver back. So question of the week, part 2. Should I give John Silver back to Salty Sea Dog? That's the question of the week. And if you respond with other than I should trade him, then I'm just going to delete your message because I want to keep John Silver. You know who I also want to keep is my man Ray Phoenix, Doll, and of course, Mr. Fourth Row.
It's a go for another phone call there from Mr. Fourth Row. Hey, AEW Week in Review and Mr. Mark. Let's talk about AEW, and I guess specifically night 1 of New Year's Bash. I really enjoyed it a lot. Especially with the crazy timing of this crazy world. Talking to one of the owners of the company last night because I got to attend a training in person last night with all the safety protocols and stuff like that. So it was awesome to quote unquote see live professional wrestling in person, even though I was training. And of course I have to keep some secrets about things that are going to be happening in upcoming shows and tapings, because this particular company is still having shows, but they're closed set shows per se, because they do have a Twitch platform. And let's just shout them out, Rocky Mountain Pro, where of course wrapping it up back to AEW is where Abaddon came from. But anyways, let's get back into New Year's Bash. I really enjoyed it. We finally get to see some Impact players on AEW. Of course, we knew, most likely it was going to be the Good Brothers, because, they have to promote that Hard to Kill pay-per-view, which is coming up here in just a short little while. So it was great. Additionally, this is the second time Abaddon has wrestled Shida, and so maybe the third time will be the charm. So we'll see. I honestly do not know anything, but that's just the cliche of that. And then finally, the fantasy league looks like it's off to a good start for testing. I'm enjoying it. It's a little tricky, I think, on mobile devices, just because of the way some of the menus look on mobile devices. But that's just my opinion on that. Just seems like a few things, will probably be tweaked. Especially since it's running on a web-based, server-based. But I'm enjoying it and the such. So I can't wait to see how that all turns out. It looks to be a lot of fun, and I think it's pretty much nailed on. And kudos to you, Mark, for doing this. I think it's fun. It's going to give us a little bit more of an experience and have fun with our wrestling passion. And what we're going to need in this crazy world with it when it comes to our community is to have a little bit more fun when it comes to the wrestling. So I hope you all get out there and view a lot of wrestling that we have to offer out there for us. Anyways, let's just go ahead and wrap that up. And that's my view, not from the cheap seats, not from the most expensive seats, but from the fourth row.
All right, Mr. Fourth Row, thanks for checking in. I just wrote on my board, so I have a board that I keep all my notes and about what's going on with fantasy and updating and stuff. And so I put test on mobile. So I have been playing with it on my PC, and it scales fine, but I haven't really messed. Does use Bootstrap, which is a thing for mobile development, and it kind of gets it moving in the right spot. But I haven't really tried it on my phone, but I will do that next because that's really most people get on their phones and they do it on their phones. So I need to make that a little bit easier for everybody, and I'll work on that. Hard to Kill. Speaking of Hard to Kill, is anybody going to get the pay-per-view? And if you do, send us a message, podcast at Pro Wrestling News Hub, and let us know what you thought of Hard to Kill. I'm probably not going to get it because they've got the Ravens game is Saturday. I don't even know when Hard to Kill is. It Sunday? I don't know. I probably won't get it because I just don't know any of the wrestlers. Kenny Omega is going to win, so I'm not really sure with that. Abaddon, she needs to feud with somebody else. Like we really get in these one-off feuds on Dynamite, and I would really like to see some. I mean, we've got Britt Baker and Thunder Rosa. That's cool, but Abaddon is now off, and I would definitely work Abaddon. Use Dark to really start building some feuds between some ladies. I mean, because we're just like Serena Dean, Tay Kante. I was like, okay, cool, which was a great match. Now, who are they going to feud with? And they go back to Dark. You use Dark to build some feuds and get some storylines going. There are some storylines in Dark. Sean Spears and Scorpio Sky, for example, which I'm curious about Scorpio Sky. We haven't seen him at all. Is he injured? I know he's doing his own podcast thing, which is cool. So I have that on the mobile stuff to look at into that. And that's what I need. I just need feedback. The more as time goes on, the better this application will become. I'm going to reskin it. It's going to look nice, but I want to get the functionality there first and the gameplay going on. Let's get to another participant of the fantasy wrestling world, and that is Mr. Salty Sea Dog with his second message from this week. He said, first off, I must say the Darby Allin match versus Brian Cage was insane. I was not looking forward to it, but it exceeded my expectations. I was fearing for Darby's life at times. The bumps that Darby was taking is insane. I agree. I thought that was a great match. It really put over Brian Cage. And yeah, I was a little like, I don't know about this. Is Darby Allin really that? I mean, he just takes crazy bumps. He just got beat, but that's what he's supposed to get beat with a big, nasty guy like Brian Cage. So I get it. I thought it was great storytelling. It was a good match. I gave it a 4. It just wasn't my elite match because I really thought FTR and the Jurassic Express was just a little bit better. I thought Marco Stunt did a really good job too. He also says I was very happy to see Pac beat Eddie Kingston. Pac is my favorite wrestler and should be a title holder. I love the fact that he punished Kingston more after the pin. We'll see what happens with Lance Archer. I agree. Lance Archer, whole thing with him and Lance Archer, I'm like, where did this come from? Like, I hope there's like just a little bit more to it, and see what happens there. The Good Brothers being Kenny's partner for the match featuring the Elite was a pleasant surprise. It adds layers to the story, saying that I did not like how long the Elite took to win. One thing I had a problem with that, it was like, that was a pretty quick get together to all of a sudden break a week later. I thought you could have strung that along a little bit more. Where does this leave the Young Bucks and all of this stuff? I thought they were bad guys too. Maybe they were in on it. We'll find out. I must say this Serena Dean is the best pure women's wrestler in AEW. The other women's matches on Dark are still sloppy. When she wrestles, you know it will be a good match. Totally agree with you there. Also, he says it was so great to see Bear Country win on Dark. They are one of my breakout stars of 2021. The Inner Circle segment was awesome. Really looking forward to next week's tag team match to name the Inner Circle's official tag team. I was hoping it's Santana and Ortiz. It really should be Santana and Ortiz. They were brought here to be part of the tag division. They're on the rankings now, once again, because Best Friends is off the rankings. They should be the ones that win that match because that's what they were brought to do. And really, I feel like they've been underutilized in the tag division in AEW at this point. Lastly, will Hangman join the Dark Order? I hope so. I see no other direction to go, but whatever happens, I trust AEW's plan. Me too. Looking forward to AEW Fantasy Wrestling League draft tonight. Salty Sea Dog checking in. Yes, on Thursday the 14th, we will have our draft. Fingers crossed it works right. I don't even know what it's going to happen with phones. That's never been tested before. I just ran the draft on my PC. So if you're in the draft tonight, put it on your PC to be safe. But we'll see how that goes. And finally, one more from Mr. Fourth Row.
It's a go for another phone call there from Mr. Fourth Row. Hey, AEW Week in Review and Mr. Mark, let me first of all apologize if I sound a little off. I had a spasm in my neck and it's kind of impinging on my throat a little bit, and it feels like I've got the proverbial frog in the throat. But anyways, I'll try to hop through this call as best as I can, but just got done watching night 2 of New Year's Smash, and boy did I really enjoy it along with the first week. And this just keeps proving to me week after week that AEW is doing things right. And in my opinion, one of the things that they are doing so right is they have no wasted matches. There's a little bit of part of storyline or something that's going on in every single match for the most part. There's something that's leading up to something or leading into something, and that's the reason why they have these matches. And of course I'm always referring to Dynamite, and of course Dark can have this as well, but we're gonna have to just focus on Dynamite because that's the quote unquote canon and probably the most watch of all the things and what's been kind of focused on, I would say. So anyways, would just like to say that I hope you guys enjoyed it. Just my quick little feedback for the last 2 weeks since we did not have a episode last week, and hope you guys are all doing well into the new year, and let's fight it up into the Fantasy League, which I believe Mark would probably already talk about in this episode. Once again, that is my view, not from the cheap seats, not from the most expensive seats, but from the fourth row.
All right, thanks, Mr. Fourth Row, for checking in. I hope you're feeling better. What you should have said is that you were put through a table And that's what happened. Something along that lines. You got a chair shot or something like that. Always, you can just lie. Apparently that works in this country. Oh, did I go there? Okay. Again, thank you, Mr. Fourth Row, for the Ray Phoenix action figure. Do I open it or just leave him in the box? I should probably leave him in the box. He's so cool. I mean, with all the tattoos. Oh, I'm super excited. Thank you again, Mr. Fourth Row, for that. And if you want to be on the show, you know what to do. You email podcast@prowrestlingnewshub.com with your MP3s or call 888-430-7692 extension 3. Cutoff time is 6 p.m. Eastern on Thursday. Leave us a review on Apple iTunes, podcast, whatever the heck it's called now. And we also like and subscribe to our YouTube channel. We always appreciate that. You can listen to the show anywhere that you can get a podcast. Show notes, prowrestlingnewshub.com/AEW-podcast. Join us on the Discord if you want to learn more and get involved with the fantasy wrestling community on there. Again, it's fantasy.prowrestlingnewshub.com. Sign up, create an account. We're growing. I would say we're probably close to, we have another league that's about, so we have our league, which is me and some of the listeners. And then we have another league that's almost filling. And I mean, I want to say we're maybe got like 20 people. I mean, and I'm not promoting this at all. Like basically you're hearing it from me here and there's a link on the website. Occasionally I might tweet something out. But other than that, because I don't want to put it out there, but I plan on huge media blitz once the sucker is ready to go. I'm reaching everywhere to get this thing going. So I'm pretty excited about that. But I want to make sure it works before I get out there and tell people about it. So that's it for this week's show. Again, we appreciate all you guys checking in. Check out our fantasy wrestling. Next week's show should be good. I'm looking forward to seeing what's going on with the Dark Order and Adam Page. I think that the triple threat kind of tag team match is going to be a lot of fun. Ratings will be down again. We'll find out where AEW will be going in February. And hopefully we still have a country and next week's show. Okay? All right, that's it for me, folks. God bless. Thanks for listening. Put that mask on. Hey, we're all, at the end of the day, we're all Americans. We're all in this together. We don't have to get violent. Let them do that in the wrestling ring and talk trash. But we are really one Americans, and we just need to move on and move forward and get back to our life, which I really think we're going to get back to some wrestling events and being able to go and not in fear, hopefully soon. So God bless to you. God bless our country and everybody there. And thanks for listening. Stay safe out there, my friends. And I will see you all. You know what I always say every time. Oh, let's have Ray Phoenix say it. Later.